Me now is NFL analyst and former offensive lineman Brian Baldinger. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. As you know, big news today from the Buffalo Bills. They fired offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey. You have experience inside NFL locker rooms. It's a very tight-knit environment. How can such a drastic change really affect the players?
I feel like Ken is a fall guy for a team that's not playing up to what the expectations are. So really, you hope that it has a positive effect. They're making a lot of mistakes on offense right now, and it's hurting them. Hurt them last night in their loss to Denver. And so I think that sometimes you just say, okay, you got to be the sacrificial lamb. We got to take a pound of flesh from Ken Dorsey. We'll elevate Joe Brady, and maybe that will get everybody to focus better and to concentrate harder and to basically detail their business better than they are right now.
It's going to be interesting. Should this have been done sooner?
I don't know. Like Ken Dorsey was there last year, and he was just fine in replacing Brian Dable. And they had a difficult playoff loss, but they had a good season. They're doing some things really well right now, but they're turning the ball over too many times, and mixed with penalties and just a kind of up and down season. I think it's better if you're going to do something, and you're going to say the drastic step that they just made earlier today, it's better to do it now than to wait anymore.
You know, Brian, people are saying that Sean McDermott, he knew that the offense was having problems. At what point does this turn from blaming Dorsey for the bad play calling to blaming McDermott for doing nothing?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily play calling. I don't believe that. I believe that, they move the ball. They've just have given it back to the other team too many times this year, and that's not the fault of the coordinator. But look, I don't put Sean McDermott is doing what he can. Like, he doesn't want to fire coaches. Nobody wants to fire one of their coaches. Sometimes you have to do it because you think that's the change that needs to be done, and so you have to make difficult decisions. And Sean has made difficult decisions before, and so they've benched number one draft picks. They've signed guys off the street. They've done all kinds of different things, to try and make the roster as competitive as possible. And so, he elevated himself to be defensive coordinator when Leslie Frazier stepped down. Those are all kind of difficult decisions, but those are the decisions head coaches have to make.
People are saying that we can't ignore the fact that the entire team has some problems, a lot of injuries. But while the defense has been mostly solid, it has allowed teams like the Broncos, the Patriots, the Jets to score over 20 points. Does Sean McDermott deserve some blame for the defense lack of stopping power?
Well, it comes back to the turnovers, Claudine, because you're giving all these teams like the Jets week one, you're just giving them extra at-bats. Extra turns to score those points. I don't think they still play very sound zone defense. They've showed it against Miami and how they're able to keep everything in front of them. They have had problems at corner. There's no secret to that, whether it's the injury to Tre'Davious White or, the uneven play of Kaiir Elam, or, you can go on and on and on. That they signed Rasul Douglas for a reason, went out and got him from Green Bay. So, they lose Matt Milano, who was their quarterback of the defense. Von Miller's been in and out of the line. Those are all kind of, I don't think anybody's using those as excuses right now. They've got to play better in the fourth quarter. They had a chance to stop, Denver last night. They had a defensive pass interference penalty that really hurt them. Those kind of plays have plagued this defense. But the general play of the defense and the structure of the defense that Sean is running is pretty sound.
Brian, one final question. Is the double duty of coaching and being a defensive coordinator, is that too heavy of a task for Sean McDermott?
Well, you saw, Sean Payton last night was calling the plays and running his team. I mean, some coaches don't believe in that, and they believe in delegating. And some coaches believe in being able to call the plays, and it's not too much. And it happens in a lot of different places. Andy Reid has won 2 Super Bowls. He calls the plays. He's the play caller. So it works in certain places. And in some places, it's too much. I do think it's a lot on the plate for any coach, though. And I'm not saying it is for Sean. But I do believe in today's game, it's an awful lot to handle.
I think a lot of people would agree with you. We're going to see how this is all going to play out. NFL analyst and former offensive lineman Brian Baldinger, thank you so much for joining us on the 530.
Okay, my pleasure.